Did you end up hanging out with Matty Ryan on New Year's Eve?
Yeah, he came to the party on
Yeah, bet.
Yeah.
Bet.
He loved it. He was getting swarmed. No one knew who he was there.
Did you just put the plastic mask on yourself?
No, everyone thought he was Batman.
We joked about that.
I
Wear
told
your
him.
mask to the party, and everyone will think it's like a swingers party or something. What did I made an Eyes Wide Shut reference, and everyone was like, I don't think they knew what it was.
Yeah.
Anyway, back for another year. How are we feeling?
Oh,
Just back from fresh from holidays?
yeah, a little break.
Yeah.
Back at it.
What'd you get into? Much training over the break?
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
My training was good. My diet was not so good.
Oh, really?
You know, just gotta embrace the good food.
You got to let the guard down for a little bit over Chrissy and New Year. What about you, Hal? Straight fresh from the island. Did they have a good gym there? Old Epstein's Island?
I thought you meant the island over in Darling Harbour. No, lots of training, but did not
More than usual?
More than usual, yeah,
Yep.
for sure. Because no basketball on over the holidays, so just more time to
More-
sprints, plyo, rowing, upper body stuff.
More lifting
Fun.
weights.
No, more cardio, more than anything else, and I just have not eaten enough at all.
I had the same routine basically every day through the whole break. I'd train, then I'd go to a sauna,
Yeah.
come home, go for a walk, then I'd have an ice bath, and then I'd do some sort of jiu-jitsu or something.
Nice.
Oh, yeah.
Footy skills. By the end of the holidays, I was like, oh my God. Like,
I was
It's
ready.
the
to
same
come back to
routine
work.
every single day, yeah.
I'm ready to come. I'm ready for basketball more than anything else.
Yeah.
yeah, sports season's getting close to kicking off. Everyone's in their sort of pre-season, and everyone's sort of looking at their
Yeah.
New Year's resolutions. Do people still do that?
I'm sure they do.
I have it like in the back of my mind. It's not something I'm like promoting, but I'm like, okay, this year I might focus on this or that. Or
Yeah, no, I think the gym's been pretty busy. The old
it's
fitness
so
first.
fucking annoying. Yeah, the first 2 weeks back from New Year's Eve,
it'll drop off.
it's all the amateurs.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll drop off. Well, hopefully it doesn't.
Amateur hour.
More and more people getting into health and fitness is a good thing.
Yeah, always. So, what's our topic today?
New Year's resolutions, I guess. And if
Yeah.
you don't have one, we'll give you one.
Yep.
Yeah. So
One in particular.
yeah,
Yep.
one in particular that every athlete can use.
Yes, talking to those who are playing specifically, I guess, team sports, some single sports as well, but it's mostly team sports. We talk about sport-specific training, isn't it?
Sport-specific training is something that is taking a while, I think, for people to embrace. I'm still seeing like a lot of sports people in the gym training like bodybuilders,
Yep.
and I guess we're just here to help expand your mind.
Yeah.
Have some different thinking.
Expand your horizons.
Yes.
Even running, too many players who are doing, AFL, basketball, soccer. You see them running. They're just doing a slow, long distance jog. Like,
Yeah.
how is that any more sport specific than doing a sprint?
Yeah, well, I guess if you're looking at sport-specific training, there's many things that you need to look at. There's many elements, many factors, and it comes down to what sport you're participating in. But I guess the
Yeah.
main things to consider would be your
Yeah.
strength training, your power training, your
Yeah.
explosivity.
That's your base. You still gotta have that power. Still gotta have that general, fitness.
And I think that applies to pretty much every sport.
Yep. And then, some incorporating some sport-specific movements. If your sport has a lot of, turning, for example, something like shuttles might be a good example.
I think agility is something that is gaining more and more popularity. I see it online,
Like the correct
socials.
movement. Yep.
Yeah, agility. People are just looking to become better athletes in general.
Yeah.
So you've got your agility sort of, and that comes down to risk management of injuries and stuff like that as well. So strength, power, explosivity. You've got your agility.
And then, every sport has a skill element to it.
Skills.
So, but we pretty much don't really include that in strength and conditioning for your sport. That's
No.
its own element.
It is.
Well,
It's its
that's-
own modality, and it's the age-old debate: is what's more important? How much emphasis do you need to give to sort of athleticism and versus skills?
But
Yeah,
especially
you need both.
Especially for a team sport, it's very easy for an athlete to do strength and conditioning on their own in their own time, and then you kind of save all the skills-based training for when you're training as a team.
But
yeah,
see, but
that's generally how it happens at most community sports. So your skill-based training will be addressed in your training with the team, and the other stuff is sort of on your own. They're the extras that you need to do outside of your team
It's
sport.
like fitness is homework.
yeah, and that's
Yeah.
why we end up with people, doing the skill stuff, getting that, progressing pretty well. But then in the gym, they're just doing bodybuilding stuff, which might not necessarily be.
It doesn't
applicable
translate
to their sport.
All of these modalities need to work in unison with each other, and you'll need to figure out what your priorities are. So if you're a smaller rugby league player and your goal is to get more powerful, then you'll need to emphasize or place more emphasis on the strength training program versus agility or anything else.
Yep.
So it's going to be very individual, but so we've got strength and power, agility, you've got your skills.
Endurance.
So cardiovascular endurance, stamina. Yeah. So how fit you can get. Obviously, most sports, the fitter athletes are able to perform at a higher level for longer.
But being fit in a specific way as well. Like it's very, you notice.
Position
I'll
specific
refer
too.
Back, but I'll refer back to basketball as you can be running heaps in many different ways over a break, but you come back and you realize that it's still such a different movement because so stop start, you're staying low and then you're jumping. You can be incredibly fit in a long distance form, and then it just doesn't translate to that specific sport.
Yeah, if you're a basketball player and your training doesn't involve any jumping or plyometrics,
it's not really going to help as much.
Maybe there's something that you can include over there, right? It's almost common sense.
Well, and it's a good point you raise because if you do look at cardiovascular fitness, basketball is a good example. It's a game where you are constantly running, but you've got periods where there are short sprints,
and it's change of pace as well.
Different heart rates throughout. So when you are looking at cardiovascular training, you do need to consider all the different variable heart rate zones and making sure that you're training in all of those zones.
Yep.
And, we did the episode on energy systems, right? You've got your 3 energy systems, your creatine phosphate system for any movement less than 10 seconds. You get your anaerobic system for that 10 second to a couple of minutes. And then anything over a couple of minutes is your aerobic system, right? And in most sports, you're kind of, changing gears through those 3 systems as you need, in basketball, a good example. If you're jumping, you're using a creatine phosphate system. If you're, jogging back on defense, depends who you are, but you're probably using your aerobic system, right? Or, if you're just, in the middle of a play, going pretty fast, probably anaerobic. So, you have to, train all these systems specific. Just like jiu-jitsu, right? Probably, when you're trying to go for that, that explosive escape, whatever.
Well, that's it. It comes into play when you're escaping, and then when you get a dominant position on top, you might slow it down and get control and have a bit of a breather. But so, it goes in sort of different.
Yeah. So powerlifting's different. We're all about the strength.
And then probably the last thing to consider, which is not sort of a physical-based training, but it's probably equally as important as all of those things, if not more, is the mental aspect to sports, mental preparation, visualizing success.
I saw...
but also just knowledge as
motivation, discipline, knowledge.
Being aware of how to improve yourself as an athlete, which comes back to how are you training.
Yep.
I saw that interesting thing that you posted about, they tell the athletes different things. Did you post that?
I think so, yes.
Yeah, and, they told the athletes to, in their head, to think about like a skill-based instruction, right? So, do this, do that.
Yeah.
And then they told another group of athletes...
this was during a game.
During a game, right?
So like half-time, the coach has given like formal instructions, what you need to do out there. I want you to run to there. I want you to execute this play. And then the other coach...
The other group was given some motivational stuff, like think about like why you're doing this, blah, blah, blah. And guess which group performed better?
Motivational.
Yeah, you're right. For the first time.
That's the first time you've ever been right. But no, it's like, I guess when you're in the game, when you're in the heat of it, there's... And the adrenaline's pumping, under fatigue, the chances that you're listening to sort of formal instructional, like that should have all been taken care of at training.
Yeah. Pre-game.
And then getting through the game should really be just keeping that athlete in the right mindset that they want to go out there and perform.
Which makes complete sense, but that would piss me off if that was my coach just trying to G me up. And
it's got to be the right type of...
Right, but I'd so much rather hear... this is the smart play to do this. I'd always rather hear strategy. I think it just makes more sense.
You can mix it. You know what I mean? Like what we're noticing, Hal, is you're sort of, as the game's going on, you're dropping a bit in defense. You're sort of not as eager, or I don't know.
Don't let him bully you, son.
Yeah. You're still lively in attack, but I need you to liven up more in defense or something. So it can be sort of instructional, but and also motivational. Mm-hmm. But yeah, they're all the factors to consider for sport-specific training. And I guess then it just comes down to scheduling those around each other.
Well, I think...
And that could be periods, off-season, pre-season, during season as well.
Yeah, the other thing probably you could add to that is, your mobility, flexibility, and your injury prevention, right? Like, flexibility is like how far you can move your limbs apart from each other. Mobility is, how much control you have over your body when it's in these, more extended positions.
Far out. It's becoming increasingly hard to become a professional athlete now. Strength and power.
Yeah.
Agility. Skills. Conditioning. Cardiovascular. Mindset. Mobility. And then the
endurance.
Endurance, yeah. And then nutrition.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So there's actually like 7 different things that athletes need to consider and be on top of. And they... to perform at your best, you need to be on top of all of those things.
And the thing is, with all of those things, as an athlete, it's up to you. Nobody's gonna, even up to the highest level, nobody's really gonna care about how well you do in your sport as much as you do. Nobody's gonna give you a sport-specific training program unless you go to Musashi.com. Nobody's gonna, give you a nutrition plan for your whole life. Like, some of these things are skills and knowledge that you have to build up over time and implement yourself. There's no fairy coming to help you.
Unless you're loaded and you can hire coaches in all of these different realms. But most people can't. They have to look into it themselves. And something interesting, you just said, it comes from within. You need to want it and execute it and do it and organize it yourself. And I had this talk with someone over the Christmas break, actually. It's like they said, I'm really struggling with motivation to, execute all of my training and actually I heard something, I think it might have been a Jocko podcast or something.
Oh, yeah.
And he was saying, if you wait every time in order to do exercise, you wait until you're motivated, the chances you'll execute that training is very low.
Yeah.
So because we're generally not motivated to train. Occasionally you get that real urge and you're like, I can't wait to get in the gym. Most times it's like, oh shit, got to get to the gym, or I'm not really feeling it today. But he was saying discipline. Discipline is what keeps you at it. Mm-hmm. So if you wait till you're motivated, might never happen. But if you become disciplined, you'll do it even when you don't want to do it.
It helps having a schedule. If you're doing it at the same time each week in a similar kind of fashion, then you kind of get used to it. I
think that's the secret. And that's what I say to everyone. Schedule in your sessions as though, and it's an appointment, an appointment at the doctor's, an appointment at work.
Yeah.
Schedule it in, show up for that appointment.
Don't give yourself the chance to miss it.
Yeah.
That's it.
Motivation is, it comes in its peaks and troughs, It's like the sun, right? Some days you're motivated, some days it's raining.
Yeah.
So you gotta keep at it.
Is that a Miyamoto Musashi quote?
Could be. We'll find out soon.
What's the best way to create discipline? There's heaps of different ways you can sort of get motivated. You can watch movies, listen to music.
Well, there's,
whatever.
Extrinsic motivation and intrinsic motivation, right? I think if you have like a deeper purpose or a New Year's resolution or a goal, right?
There you go.
But how does someone get disciplined? Do you reckon it's just built into some people?
Yeah.
What do you reckon?
I think you can practice it as well. I think if, for example, you're starting out and you notice that you have poor discipline, it's always good locking in plans with a partner. Because or a group, however you want to do it, because then it's not like, if I don't go, it doesn't matter. It's like, no, you're letting someone else down too.
Yeah, I find that's a pretty good way, is having like a training partner, because it works, both ways. One day they're not going to be disciplined to do something, you can help them, and then it comes back.
And especially if you're competitive, and it makes it more sociable and enjoyable. You're not just going and grinding something out, and you can have a coffee after, you can catch up.
I also think, problem with training often is, you might not see results tomorrow. And discipline, for some people, they might not, understand why they need to be disciplined to have this long-term commitment. So if you look further out, like where you want to be, or, just understand that if you go train every day, it's going to have a benefit, even if you don't know where you're going to be. I think just understanding the process, believing in the process is
So going back to a New Year's resolution, to those out there, those athletes who might not have one, would we say of those 7 odd pillars that you mentioned, aside from nutrition, I'd think 3 of those are things that every athlete can kind of address on their own, in their own time, as homework, as we kind of discussed before.
I think all of them, except for skills, I guess. That's usually a team and coach-based thing.
Normally team, but I'd say specifically, let's say endurance and stamina is one, power and strength, and then mobility, agility. Yeah, that kind of stuff, which is really how you're training on your own anyway.
Yeah.
So starting off with stamina and endurance, that's fairly easy. That's if you're an athlete, do some cardio, do some sport-specific cardio. If you're going to go for a jog, but maybe do some research, have a think about what your sport actually does in your position. How are you normally moving, and how would you replicate that in your own time?
Yeah.
Which for me in basketball is 20, 50,
For you, it's sitting on the bench. How do you...
Just practicing my water curls.
You're doing some sport-specific training right now, actually. I think, for those of you that don't have a New Year's resolution, simple one, just do more sport-specific training.
Try it.
We're giving you eight ways in.
If you're a sports person, you're training like a bodybuilder, you're doing yourself I won't say like full injustice.
Like
at least you're doing something. You are getting stronger, and it will improve your sport, but not to. It's not the best thing to do.
It'll make you look good on the beach, but
And if you've come off a base of like bodybuilding style training, chances like if you switch it up and start to do sport specific style training, the chances are of like losing muscle and stuff is pretty low. Like you'll maintain,
There can be a lot of crossover as well. I find the main difference between a bodybuilding routine and like a sport specific training routine is one is sets and reps. Instead of doing 1 or 2 rep maxes for, I don't know, benching, for example, you can do the same exercise if it's a compound or rotational movement. Just up the reps.
Well, a lot of the movements might be the same if they're compound style movements, but it is very, very different when it comes to training for sport specific in the gym versus bodybuilding. Yeah. The choice of exercises is completely different.
Well,
except for some base style, off season style lifts. But as it gets to the season, you're not doing heavy squats and things like that.
No, not at all.
Squat,
you might
bench,
work
and deadlift's
to
going to benefit
plyometrics
everything. Squat, bench, deadlift's going to benefit everybody. It's going to help the base that we talked about,
big
right?
Compound movements for sure.
Big compound movements, but
then you're going to be dropping the isolated exercise.
Yeah,
in favor of something a bit more.
Yeah, bicep curls and shoulder flies, maybe not so relevant to a lot of sports, Yeah.
That's it.
What's your New Year's resolution, Hal?
Quit vaping.
Nice.
What? I know that's a joke. You don't vape.
Well,
what's your real one?
Why do you look at me like that? I don't have any resolution. I'm perfect.
Less drinking, I think, for you.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
Get off the bench.
Get off the bench. Get more than 3 minute game time.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that'd be the way. Score a bucket this year.
What about you, Darren?
Mine is get my bicep to 100%
strength. I was wondering what you're doing with your arm.
But yeah, I mean, I'm back to full mobility after my bicep tear last year, but still not 100% strength. So
nice.
Deadlift, I haven't deadlifted in a long time. So
you bet you're looking forward to getting back to that.
Definitely. What about you?
I'm gonna like make a commitment to myself to do a minimum of 4 ice baths a week and 4 saunas a week every week for the whole year.
Nice.
Pretty cool. My mates around the corner from me have got an ice bath recently.
Oh, yeah?
Started doing that on Sundays after basketball.
Enjoy it?
They fill it with beer.
I know. Did you see my story?
Oh, did you really?
One guy in there is just like, he's just in there struggling, and everyone else is just like leaving their beer in there.
Oh.
Yeah, pretty funny. But it's a good idea.
Nice.
Cool.
All right, we might finish on that, and we'll see you. Oh, hang on. How can we finish?
We can't stop without a word from Miyamoto Musashi.
I mean, we can.
Yeah.
But we won't.
But we won't.
Okay, this is a good one.
It's like, I reckon he comes in here pre-plans the page because it's always on the page he opens.
Oh, I don't agree. I reckon they're all
Okay.
rubbish anyway.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, this is actually
This
a
is
good
actually
one.
really good.
This is
Like every week. You never get to be real and say, this one's shit, but I'm going to go with it
Okay.
anyway.
Practice is the only way that you will ever come to understand what the way of the warrior is about.
That's yeah,
That is good.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that is highly relevant.
Highly relevant, as always.
Yeah.
Miyamoto Musashi.
Nice. On that note, see you guys soon.
Musashi out. Happy New Year. Good luck with your resolutions.
Yep.
Musashi out.
Get into it, everyone. See ya.